Hello and welcome. I'm Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well today. So, we're starting a new series looking at ET encounters, extraterrestrial encounters, and the purpose of the series is to investigate extraterrestrial events in search of numerical patterns. And I'd just like to share this quote from Gary McKinnon, who is a well known ufologist. I knew that the government suppressed anti gravity, UFO-related technologies, free energy, or what they call zero-point energy. This should not be kept hidden from the public when pensioners can't pay their fuel bills. Now that's very important because obviously there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, Area 51, Roswell, that governments around the world, including of course the US and governments around the world, who have this technology and are aware of its potential, but of course, because of the economic construct we're living in, if we had to get free energy, a lot of sectors would go down, right? All right, so let me give you a bit of a background why I'm interested in extraterrestrial encounters. I am personally a CE4 abductee. And during 1996-7, I believe I was abducted during the course of 5 evenings. And if you want to hear my story and hear a bit about my background with regards to my encounter, I will leave a link in the description. Now, the video that this little crew came out and filmed with me was filmed in 2013 or 2014. And they came to get my story. Unfortunately, in those days, in 1996-97, I was just starting out in the film industry. And of course, I wasn't really practicing as a psychic. So my mission at the time was to write a story about my experience. So that was my mission at the time. And I kick myself today for not writing down the dates down because, fast forward, almost 30 years later, I'm working in numerology. I'm a full-fledged psychic. So unfortunately, I don't even have my own date. But if you are interested, I'll leave the link in the description and you can hear my story. I was definitely in a UFO spaceship and I actually woke up. Well, in the video, it explains the sequence, but I'll just give you a little sound bite, and that is, my encounter happened over a course of 5 evenings. And on the 5th evening, or when I woke up on the 5th morning, let me rather say, nothing had happened what I had experienced the 4 days before. However, what I did feel through my nose, from the tip of my nose to the base of my nose, I felt a scraping. There was definitely a scraping in my nose, like a thin line from the tip of my nose to the base of my nose. And at the top of my nose, at the end of that little pain that I felt, I had a bump above my nose. And at the time, I didn't have any acne. So there was definitely something going on. And, being young in those days, I was more inclined to write about it than investigate it further per se. I did end up talking about it on several radio stations and TV shows in South Africa, but very interesting. And so that is my core interest in extraterrestrial activity. And now with the abilities that I've progressively improved on, my psychic abilities and my intuitive numerology, I'm going to start looking at some cases to get an understanding to see if we see any patterns numerically with these sightings. And I can tell you I have discovered some interesting patterns. So let's have a look here. I'm going to be looking at 8 different cases. The first case is the most recent one, which is the Vegas sighting and encounter. And that effectively happened on May 1, 2023. Now, if we look at the days before and the days after, I'm just going to tell you guys now, there's definitely a pattern happening here. The interesting numbers that I've picked up is the 16-7, which I believe is the human being. And what's also significant around these events, there is a 30, which gives us the 3. And I believe that is 33 is leading us to foreign mass. Okay, large, very large. So as mentioned in previous videos, when we see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that kind of thing, we're talking about a mass event. Okay, and by some of these descriptions that people are saying that some of these unidentified flying objects are more than a mile wide. So you can appreciate when we deal with mass. Now let's have a look at Vegas. So I believe the incident was around the May 1, and I'm going to say May 2 because that event happened late in the evening. So we will see May the 2nd will actually give us some information. And we see there the mass of 7s. Okay, I've highlighted that in orange for you. Now, what's interesting now from a numerology point of view, when you get a mass of numbers, that means something is either going to be supersonic or extremely detrimental. Okay, and what I've identified with all these encounters is that we always have the triple numbers with a 9. Now, having meditated on this for a few days, I've been working on this probably 3 or 4 days. And meditating on it, we definitely see the presence of triple numbers in line with a 9. So with Vegas, we see the 777s. With the Barney and Betty Hill incident, 888s with the 9. With the incident in Colorado, the sighting there, we have the 666s with the 9. With the Phoenix, Arizona sighting in 1997, we see the 888s and the 9. Now, we can go in depth about the meaning of numbers and, particularly the number 9. The number 9 features prominently in numerology as well as, in physics and science, that 9 is the universal number. Like if you multiply with numbers with 9, you'll always get the same. And that works out exactly the same in numerology as well. So I believe there has to be, it's some kind of gateway that we're looking at here. And of course, this is my first episode, first time I'm looking at this from this perspective. And over time, we will develop this further. But definitely, we are picking up a alignment of same numbers with the number 9 is very key. Okay. Now, what's interesting about the Vegas incident. Now, like everyone else in the beginning, I was skeptical, even though I had my own encounter. But I want to see what the numbers say. Now, what's interesting is on that May 2nd, 777s. Now, when we deal with 7s, we're also dealing with transportation, method of transportation. So high prominence of 7s around when UFOs are around, that's mode of transport. And we see there's definitely an anomaly that occurred on May the 2nd with the 777s. And just prior to that, we see the 33 in orange there, the number 30 with the outcome 3. And then a couple of days later, we could argue and speculate, I believe that those triple numbers with the 9 is entry and exit points in the universe. Okay. Exit and entry points where we see the alignment of numbers in a line with the number 9. Okay. So to give you a short answer on Vegas sighting, and I know the people that encountered this extraterrestrial life form, because they said they saw a being of some kind, I would definitely say that was true. I would definitely go ahead and say there's definitely authentic information from a numerology point of view, and what I've seen with all other cases, and we'll go through it, but I definitely believe the Vegas incident did occur. Now, we've got the Barney and Betty Hill, very famous abduction story, which resonated with me. And let me tell you, the abduction scenarios that I experienced, I was petrified, terrified, completely paralyzed, immense vibrations going on around me. It was really, really insane. And I believe I saw 2 grays in my room at the initial start of it. And there was definitely someone standing behind me when I was on this like operating table up in a UFO or some kind of flying device. But I can tell you it was quite scary, I must say. So if we look at the Barney and Betty Hill sighting and abduction, right? Now, I believe they were driving back on September the 19th, late in the evening again, right? So that's the green block where the encounter happened. Now, we see there the day before the alignment of 888s and 9. Prior to that, we got the 167 being number. And on September the 21, when, according to Barney and Betty, that was the third and last day that they had this experience. Now, what's quite interesting, we see the 21-3 there, okay? Now, 21-3 and that number 3 deals with abduction, kidnapping. So if we're looking at a crime case, whenever you have a 21-3 or a 12-3, you're talking about abductions, kidnappings, taking control. And we see the presence there of the 33, mass, foreign mass, I believe, is the word I was given. Okay. Now, with the outcome 11-2, and I've started looking to see if there are other numbers that are present at the time. And in most cases, I am finding 11 with the outcome 2. Now, that 11 is all about people coming together. Now, that could be the human and the alien coming together or disconnecting. Okay, so what I've also picked up in the last day or so, there are a number of 11s around as well, which makes sense, you know. So in my opinion, the Barney and Betty Hill sighting definitely happened. And you know, I haven't gone fully in depth into the Barney and Betty Hill case because obviously we know there's a lot of information. But if you feel that there's a particular case that I need to go deeper here, then please just let me know in the comments section and we'll go deeper. But the primary objective of this episode and series is, do we see similarities in sightings, abduction sightings or occurrences? And I can definitely say we've seen patterns. So if we go to the Salida, Colorado, excuse my pronunciation, sighting, that was taking place, I believe, on August 27. And I saw one video of a father filming through the car window, filming the event. Now, again, the following day reveals to us those alignment of numbers, the 666s and the 9. We see in close proximity 16-7 and the 33, and we are seeing the 11 as well. So already we're starting to see patterns here. And I definitely want to go deeper into the gateway theory in that, you know, we as humans, let me say, you know, and I'm actually busy working on a movie script at the moment. And in my research, there's many historical sites. And in South Africa as well, we've actually got one of the oldest sites in the world. Where we believe that there's been alien engagement, and everyone speaks about the number 9 as a universal number. And it's almost like if I look at the 9 plus the 3 numbers, that for me is like a key into alternative universes, including our own. That's my theory. So it's quite interesting. With the Phoenix, Arizona sighting in 1997, we see again the 888s and the 9s 2 days after the event, okay? So that could easily be their exit. And if we had to call all of these out, we can go, you know, further analysis. But again, we're picking up the 16-7, the alignment with the number 9. And of course, we do have the presence of 11s as well. Now, that 11 would have been on March 11, 1997. So we've definitely seen a pattern. So the first 4 here are American incidents, right? So to test the theory, we need to look at other countries and other events. So on the next slide, I've got 4 from other countries. So if we look at the top one, the Ariel School Zimbabwe, which is just north of where I am, sighting an encounter. And in this case, what had happened here is school kids were at school, obviously. And this is a very famous case in this area. And according to eyewitness accounts, and now you can imagine there was school loads of kids that observed this, as well as school teachers. Very well documented event. And the UFO, according to the eyewitness accounts, landed several, let's say 100 yards away from the school, just behind some trees. And according to the children and teachers, they did see aliens or humanoids or alien beings outside of the UFO as well. Now, on the day of the sighting, September 16, 1994, we have the presence of the 16-7, the 33, as well as the alignment of numbers. So very interesting that we are finding patterns anywhere in the world with UFO encounters. So this will obviously just prompt me to go deeper on further episodes, where we can go deeper and deeper and get more answers as to, why did these events happen? Like, for example, and we're going to have to do some serious research here, but in 1994, during that time, South Africa, now you must understand, Zimbabwe is literally our neighbor, right? And South Africa at that time was going through a major transition politically, where African people now had the chance to vote in the country, and that happened actually in March 1994. But the country was still in some turmoil, uncertainty. So, an interesting thread would look at what was happening in the world at the time of these events, and are they related in any way, shape, or form? Okay, so we have the Japanese airline flight 1628. And again, we have the sighting was November the 17th. And again, we have the alignment of numbers with the 9, the 16-7, and the 33. So very interesting. And in this case, with the Japanese airline, the pilots had actually seen what looked like a UFO in the distance, but was also moving around from the point of the plane to the back of the plane in seconds. So have a look at this. Now, what I did was, so what I've done with all these cases, for most of the American cases, I've looked at a documentary that's on YouTube. I'll put that link in the description for you as well, that you can look into the events if you haven't heard about them, in line with the dates that I've put out here. So I'll put that link in the description, where I got the first batch, where I got most of the information for this episode. I'll share that link in the description for you. Now, also a very famous case was the RAF Woodbridge England incident. Now, this one's interesting because it's slightly different from the others. It wasn't a sighting. It was a sighting, but according to eyewitness accounts, the UFO had actually crashed just beyond alignment of trees on and near a RAF Air Force base in England, right? So the day of the incident was December 26, early hours of the morning. So the next day will actually give us that information. Now, quite interesting here is the December 27. We've got a mass of 9s. Now, those 9s in the context of UFOs and alien sightings, those 9s are becoming very prominent. It's a universal key number. And we have the flux of 3s. Now, under normal circumstances, 3s is all about control, right? 3, if we look at the control side of the number, 3 is about control. Now, when you have all those 3s, a mass of 3s, when you get 3 numbers, now like the 3 3s, they're not in alignment, which then will tell me, that indicates for me that the vessel was out of control, which is very interesting, because then that corroborates the eyewitness accounts that the vessel had actually crashed. And you will see the replica that was created looked similar to that picture there, right, according to eyewitness accounts. Now, what we have here is that the object, I believe, entered that area around December 24th, December 25th, and crashed 25th, 26th, which is reflective in numerology. We got the massive 3s out of control, completely out of control, and the 9s present, higher beings. And we have the December 28th, where now we have a 40, mass of 40, okay? And 4 will relate to, like in basic terms, earth, metal, wood, fire. It's your earth elements. So in this case, we have a physical object that has crashed on earth, according to our witness accounts, right? And the numerology actually reflects that as well. So another authentic case, I believe, the Iran fighter jet incident, which happened in 1976. Now, that will be in the description in the video. I'll leave in the description box. And that is the Iranian fighters were alerted of a UFO. And according to the fighter pilot himself, which is in the video, he says he actually shot at the UFO, but then all his systems went haywire. And he turned away from the UFO immediately. And as he got further away from the UFO, so his instrument panel started working again. So you'll be able to see that story as well in the link. But again, we have now, which is important again, the alignment of the same numbers, right? Whereas in the previous case on December 27, we see that those numbers aren't necessarily in alignment, where it reflects the actual crash. So that vessel was definitely problematic and out of control. Now with the Iranian fighter, we have the alignment of the 5s. We see the presence of the 33, and we see the presence of the 16-7. So very interesting how numerology reflects actually what is happening, regardless if they are from another universe. Because you remember, the universal number in mathematics is the number 9. So I believe that alignment with the number 9 is the key. It's like some kind of universal key unlocking gateways into universes. Interesting to develop that further. So as a first episode, I've just looked at a general overview. Is there patterns created? And does this create some kind of validation in terms of these events actually happen? And certainly it's no coincidence when we see the alignment of numbers, the 16-7 always present and the 33 mass. And as mentioned, there's also a lot of presence of 11s and 3s, which I think is also part of the alien situation. So very interesting, and I'm a believer. There's no doubt, based on my experience that I have no doubt that aliens are around. The conspiracy theory, or the interesting element, is that if these technologies are available, and we know they are without a doubt, then we could be living a better, cost-effective life, a way better life. But if you take out the industries of oil, all those kind of industries that feed off dirty resources, then we will continue living in a world where we are continuously polluted by toxins. Whereas if we had this free energy, zero toxins, we will be living a much better life. But interesting to see these patterns. And I'll certainly be looking at more historical cases and, of course, any new cases that arrive. So that's the basic finding for this episode. It's my preliminary app. Let me know what your thoughts are. I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are. I read all your comments. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and please hit that like button. And I'll just say stay safe, stay alert, and I'll see you in the next one.